listening to a podcast. I know you think it's great, 'cause it's my friend Shane shit. Jive Talk. Jive Talk. We're gonna Jive Talk. A heavy metal news that don't give you the blues. So let's do it right now. I'm going to tell you right now, I was going to do Heaven's on Fire, and then I totally forgot it in my brain, so I came up with that very quickly. I feel like it went great. I feel like it went perfectly fine. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 143. I think last episode I said 141 when I should have said 142, but I think we're on 143 now. This is just the beginning. This is the future. I will get better at this, I promise you. I mean, as I go along and I invest more quality into this, I might get a microphone and stuff like that. I might really get this thing going, but we're just getting to the start of this. I'm not going anywhere. As long as you hang out with me, we're going to keep going with this. We've got news stories galore, and I've got a couple things that I want to talk to you about in my own personal life. First being, have you heard of the courtesy flush? I've done this my entire life, the courtesy flush. That's when you're sitting down, you're doing icky yucky, you're doing your business. Number two, they call it a bowel movement. And as it comes, it releases, you flush the toilet just to keep that smell down. And I just think, I've heard it in movies, how about a courtesy flush over there, like in public restrooms and stuff like that. I did not know, however, I work with a man who did time. Did a little time in the big house. And I mentioned something about that, and he says, yeah, it's the courtesy flush. Yeah, you got to do that. You've got to do that when you're in prison. And then I was like, oh my God, it dawned on me. When you're in prison and you have a cellmate, and he goes, yeah, you got a cellmate. And he might be a big son of a bitch. And he don't want to smell even a nostril full of stinky. You got to, so he says, you keep plunging the whole time you're on the toilet. While another man is staring at you, by the way. He's sitting on the bunk playing checkers or something. They like to, they allow them like a, charcoal or something so they can make out the sheet, and then they use little paper bits or whatever for the checkers. So he's sitting there, and this guy's sitting, not even, what's the cell size? 12 by 12? Sitting there. So if this guy smells a lick of what you're doing over there, you're in deep trouble. But I did not know that. I didn't think about, I've never thought about that. Prison's always been the furthest, scariest place in my mind. I may have mentioned before that, I was heading over this with my grandma and grandpa, and I just happened to look over and see the prison. I said, what's that over there, Grandma? And she says, that's where the bad people go to live. And it looked brutal. Fences and barbed wire and all that. And I saw a couple of dudes out there in the yard probably shanking each other. And so I've always said to myself, I'm never going to the big house. So when this guy tells me, you're like, you don't really realize. I could tell you that I watch 60 Days In and all these shows, which I do. Never occurred to me that you need to keep flushing the toilet because your cellmate's going to kick your ass if he smells you. But, welcome to this episode. We got stories galore. You can see that's Brian Johnson, AC/DC, and, of course, Angus Young. Still in school, still in the schoolboy outfit. I love that. He said, that's never going away. I'm going to do that forever. But we've got big news here. AC/DC's Back in Black is now the third biggest selling album in United States history. I wanted to learn about the other two. I'm curious about that. I feel like my eyes just popped right down and I saw Thriller, because that's got to be on there. And then what? The Best of the Eagles? Let's get into it. Let's learn a little bit. AC/DC's Back in Black. Let's do it. On August 21st, 2024, AC/DC's 1980 breakthrough album and first album with Brian Johnson, Back in Black, was certified by Recording Industry Associates of America, very prestigious, for U.S. shipments of 27 million copies. It now ranks as the third highest certified album in U.S. history behind, I swear to God, I did not see that. I saw Thriller. I did not see that it was the Eagles' The Greatest Hits, because I swear to God, everywhere you go, there's one of them records laying in the dirt somewhere. It doesn't matter if you go to the park, or you go under the bridge, or you go in the subway systems. There's an Eagles record laying there. I can't believe this. Behind Eagles compilation, Their Greatest Hits 1971 to 75, which has moved 38 million units according to the RIAA. And Michael Jackson's Thriller, which has been certified 34 times platinum. I mean, you know, you can say a thing or two about Michael Jackson, but every time that one song, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, comes on, I just turn into a fucking animal. I feel it's like, you know, I go back to my dance days. I go back to just feeling it in the bones, and you got to get up and shake some shit. Back in Black first went platinum in October 1980 and previously been certified 25 times platinum in December 2019. At the time, the RIAA listed Back in Black as the fourth biggest selling album of all time, but not anymore. Are they going to tell us who the fourth album was? Or the one in it that they booted? On July 25th, 1980, AC/DC released Back in Black in the US, followed by the album's UK release on July 31st. It was the band's first album without lead singer Bon Scott, who had died a few months earlier after passing out and choking on his own vomit. It's a lovely evening after following a long night of drinking. I had a buddy like that. Roll him over! I was like that once, but I had this buddy, and I didn't even think about it. But we were younger kids, we were sleeping outside. You know, it was the summer, and we're out there, and we're like, yeah, it'll be fun, the sleeping bags and everything else. And then we snuck off, and we had drinks. And when we came back, my buddy was laying there. He got really drunk, passed out, and he had corn for dinner. Not that that matters, and he was laying straight back like this, and he was going, oh, and it was coming up and splashing on his face. Didn't even occur to me to go, oh, we should roll this guy over or anything. I was just too young. I was just like, look at that. It's like a mountain of vomit coming out there. The group quickly decided to press on and hired Brian Johnson for the band, from the band, Geordie. Yeah, he was a singing maniac. He wasn't gruffing and growling like he does with AC/DC and Geordie. And he took on those vocal duties. They headed to the Bahamas for about 6 weeks to do the album. AC/DC had made some serious headway in America before Scott's death, but no one knew how Back in Black would be received. Johnson told the Pulse of Radio that I didn't even have a clue how successful Back in Black would turn out to be. It just melted me brain in there. And I didn't know if it was a good or bad. That was the first time I'd been in the Bahamas. Anywhere. And near America, you know? And you have to remember, I was just fascinated by the whole culture and all. And I had no idea, he's Scottish, isn't he? And I had no idea what the hell I was damn doing. It says laugh. And luckily, really, I was a bit lucky, I think. Back in Black included the singles You Shook Me All Night Long, which peaked at number 35 of the Billboard Hot 100, and the Back in Black, which peaked at number 37. Back in Black, the song, of course, the record too. Despite its massive success, it never got higher than number 4 on that old album charts, and the band's next album, For Those About to Rock, reached number 1. Back in Black was produced by Robert Mutt, the Muttman Lang, who cheated on, is this the way the story goes? Cheated on one of the most beautiful women in the world, and one of the most amazing voices in the world, Shania Twain. Cheated on her. Are you out of your mind? He also did Def Leppard's big one too, didn't he? God, you still don't wanna run to the world I belong to. I mean, up, up, up. If I don't like country music at all, but if someone said, car battery to your nuts, if you don't like something, I'm saying Shania Twain all day. And the Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, Elvira alone, you could listen to that song 100 times, I feel. In 2012, Back in Black was added to the Recording Academy's legendary Grammys Hall of Fame collection. So there you have that. Mark Osegueda, very quickly. We're not going to hang on this too long, but Mark Osegueda, he thinks he's doing a pretty good job. I can do Tom Aray's voice some justice. And he is. He's doing a good job of it. In a new interview with Marco Serralius of MetalRules.com, that's not bad, metal-rules.com, go there. Death Angel singer, well, I don't know if that's going to be the case for too much longer. I mean, they shouldn't do anything brash. That would be a brash move. But he's got him by the short hairs right now. Mark Osegueda was asked about feedback from fans to him joining Kerry King's solo band, especially the die-hard Slayer fans. He responded, "Hey, let me tell you something. The feedback since we've been touring has been absolutely incredible. A lot of people who have the record actually prefer the live performance. This is my spot, and it's made them appreciate the record even more. Of course, many have seen us live and noticed our progression because we're a relatively new band. How we work together and play off each other. I don't know if we'd want to call it a band, more than a project for Kerry. On stage, we've improved leaps and bounds over the last few weeks. So when we're up there, we're like a machine and we're killing it. The fan reaction has been absolutely incredible. I've talked to many of the die-hard Slayer fans. I've gotten right down there with them. I say, don't you put any sugar on this son of a bitch, and you tell me what you think of my voice in this band. I'm not even going to look at you when you say it. I'm not even going to look, but I want to know, and I want your real opinions, your honest opinions on how I'm doing in this band. We didn't know what to expect, but we're doing those Slayer songs justice. That's the main goal for me, obviously, to pull off what we did on the record live. But I know there are always going to be naysayers, nannies, I call them nanny naysayers, when it comes to the Slayer material. When we perform live, you can see some of their faces gradually change by the end of the show. Their faces do change. They go from, you better prove yourself, to, I apologize, you're great. And then they're like, yeah, to me. That's a huge compliment. Or they do the Kiss song. Yeah. Isn't it 4 yeahs? Asked if it is technically challenging for him to sing like the old Slayer material, Mark said, I love to do it. I love singing Tom's stuff. Tom Araya from Slayer, bassist, he's the bassist vocalist stuff. I love it. I say that because I'm a Slayer fan. Plain and simple. I think Tom has an iconic voice. One that I can almost mimic, so it's iconic. One that I've always liked and respected. When I perform those songs, I try to do him justice. I'm very confident that I can do him justice. The most difficult part tends to be the phrasing, especially when he does the fast bits. There's some rapid-fire delivery, I give you that, in those songs. And that's probably the most challenging aspects. But range-wise, I think we're pretty similar. Though maybe some of my highs reflect Tom's younger years. I love doing it, for sure. As I said, I just try to do my best for the Slayer legacy. And the fans who love Slayer. Isn't that wonderful and isn't that sweet? So there you have that. And there he is, full regale. How many times have I seen Death Angel? Twice. Saw him in the way back. And then I saw him 2009-ish, I think. Who were they with? Whatever. And there's Kerry, the Kerry Man King in that picture too. We can't leave him out. That little fella. Let's get into this. This fella right here. James, the James Man Lomenzo. Anytime this man, who was a great, he was on that wonderful season of The Amazing Race. I always want to say it's 26, but I don't think it is. Him and Abba, his good friend, they fucked up. They fucked up in Russia, I think it was. And they left their passports in a taxi. So they were unable to finish the leg. Philky Hogan has to then say, I am sorry, you have been eliminated from the race. And I was bummed. I wanted to see a redemption season with James Lomenzo in it, but he is also the Megadeth guitar player. And if you're going bald like me, then you know that he was the bass player for White Lion as well. Megadeth's James Lomenzo, but the great thing about James Lomenzo, he doesn't talk about himself. He's selfless. He never talks about himself. He wants to talk about Teemu Mantysarri, their guitar player. He says that he's impeccable. It's impeccable what he does. And that's what you would expect from this man. This guy will die with a smile on his face. When they put him in the coffin, and they usually, do they sew the lips shut? I feel like they'll say, we just kept sewing, and he's just smiling, so we got to go with it. Megadeth's James Lomenzo's new guitarist, Teemu Mantysarri, is playing impeccably. In a new interview with Paul Salfin of AM/FM magazine, that's not bad. I'd like that little slash to be in there. But Megadeth bass player James Lomenzo spoke about the band's current lineup, which also includes guitarist vocalist Dave Mustaine, guitarist Teemu Mantysarri, and drummer Dirk Verburen, which is a little tongue twister to spit out. If you want to say it, I usually say Verburen, but it's Verburen. Is that Swedish? See, a Swedish boy. Dude, we're psyched. It's kind of weird because theoretically I'm part of the new blood, but that's what Megadeth is. We revolve around Dave Mustaine, the godfather of thrash, and we're here to bring the best version of Megadeth that we can. Do you see what I'm talking about with this man? Selfless, does not care about himself. I am here to do a duty for Mr. David Mustaine. And Dirk on the drums, hot potatoes. And he's an animal, and he's underestimated. He's an amazing technician and a beautiful musician and a great person. And of course, you've got Dave there. And man, he is the anchor that makes this boat roll into port every night. Oh! That better go on a card for him on his birthday. Dave just reads it online. He just says, oh, he said such nice things about me. Regarding how Megadeth found Teemu, James said, actually, when Kiko Loureiro, former Megadeth guitar player, had to leave, he had suggested Teemu as his replacement. And at the time, we didn't know that Kiko was going to leave permanently. They didn't add that part, but I did. But at the time, as a replacement, he seemed like the guy who could do the job. He proves it every night, man. But he was quick. He was a quick study. Yeah, they're playing Liar now. We did a video about that. Did you watch that? He's really very adept at learning all of the music and playing it impeccably. On the topic of the set list, Megadeth's Destroy All Enemies Summer 2024 U.S. Tour, which launched on August 2nd at Walmart AMP in Rogers, Arkansas. James said, yeah, we try to hit as many of the hits that people expect to hear, and lately we've been reaching back into the catalog, deep into that catalog, and trying to pull out some of those less played songs that the real fans want to hear. See that, guys? If you went and watched that video I did on Dave Mustaine playing Liar, for the first time in 18 years or whatever, you are a real fan of Megadeth. If you didn't watch it, you're not. You're not. Don't go watch it now. You're not a real fan of Megadeth unless you watch that video. So we've been picking up a lot of deeper tracks, and we're always excited to do it. Now the internet is now that the internet is wide open, it's no secret we started playing Liar, Shane. Jesus. Just the other day, I think it's like 20 years before we were playing that one. Produced by Live Nation, Destroy All Enemies, which features Mudvayne, and all that remains as support is hitting 33 cities, including Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, St. Louis, before wrapping up on September 28th in Nashville, Tennessee. There you go. We're not going to get into this because they're just going to recap Mantysarri coming in, and Kiko's going to be down in here too, okay? Because I want to get into this fella right here. Mikkey Dee, one of the great drummers, of course, was with Motorhead, but he's talking about, I wanted to hear what he had to say about his time with King Diamond. Of course, if you go back to some episodes, what did we do? We talked about concept albums. I said that Them is my favorite concept album, and that's a King Diamond record. Well, Mikkey Dee is the drummer that's on there. He is the iconic he's that guy. And then, of course, he went on to be with Scorps now. Isn't he with Scorpions? Look at this. And there's King Diamond. I like the old classic King Diamond look, but he can paint his face any old way that he wants to. If he wants to look like kind of a satanic McDonald's character or something like that, he can. It's his face. It's his right to damn do with it what he wants. I'm just saying I really like that old one. But Gene Simmons, if the stories tell correctly, his old design, Gene didn't like it. So it was a cease and desist on the face painter. Gene Simmons was going to sue him because he looked way, way cooler than Gene Simmons. Get in the comments and yell at me if you think that's... But go look at that classic King Diamond before you get down there in the comments and say, how dare you, Gene Simmons' music, his face paint is way better. Before you do that, go back and look at 80s style King Diamond. And you'll say, no, Shane, you're right. Mikkey Dee looks back on his time with King Diamond. It was fantastic, yes. In a new interview with Metal Injection, Mikkey Dee, who played drums for King Diamond from 1985 to 1989, good years, reflected on his time with the band. He said, as transcribed by Blabbermouth, with King Diamond, in the King Diamond days, we played really well together. It was a fantastic years. And we were 5 guys we were friends. I have to say, we did not really know where it would go. We wrote that music that we liked and thought was good. And then it took us to places where it kind of surprised us, especially in the US. I just want to give you an idea on this, all right? We came on tour with King Diamond, debuted in 1986. Fatal Portrait, you might recall that album, I bet you do. We played a big theater in Chicago, 1,300 seats. So I came back with 1987's Abigail. And I did 2 nights at the Oregon Ballroom, 6,000 people every night. It just exploded because we came at the right time with the right stuff. And we came with a lot of other great bands that we stuck together with. Queen's Right, you heard of them. They sing that song, Operation Mind Crimes. I always know that the mirror never lies. You know, just good stuff. And Anthrax, Slayer, the same generation boys and some girl bands as well. Well, who are the girl bands? You're going on about these boy bands. But same generation kind of grew together. We had the same type of fans, and the US metal scene was growing enormously in the 80s. And everything from pimply little college girls to hardcore King Diamond fanatics. Pimple little college girls. Mikkey Dee's having a flashback. King Diamond were fantastic. We had everything in between. We had 3 or 4 different types of people in the audience. With King Diamond, we united a lot of different groups in society. From pimply little college chicks. He said that once already. Yeah, he said it right up here, top. Pimply little college girls. Then he's down here talking about pimply little college chicks. With their pimply little, stuck-up little college. These little pimply, stuck-up little college chicks. That means we wouldn't get no business back there. Oh, they all stuck up. King Diamond says, why didn't you get one of them pimply little college chicks? He said, oh, they all stuck up. Oh, don't you think I need them? I don't need them. I got me love at home. How dare you say that I should go and sleep with one of those pimply little chicks? Ah! He wasn't getting that. And then you had King Diamond fanatics who just really enjoyed dark occult things that King Diamond was writing about. And the makeup and all the stuff. So we had a very wide variety of people, which is great. Is the legend that I'll tell you this story. Here's a quick little interlude, and then we're going to get on to something else. I had 2 friends come over to my house, and I would say their names. I'll say their names, Todd and Bryce. I will not give their last names, guys. But they came to my house. And let's just say I had a looser childhood upbringing. I'm down in the room. I got a ciggy. I'm hanging up posters on the wall. I'm listening to whatever. But the heavier metal started to get to me. I was liking the darker stuff, the Slayer and the King Diamond and everything else. These guys were not. They were staying with the kind of more hair rock and Kiss and Poison. And I was getting deeper into the Grim Reaper and all that. They came to my house. I'm hanging up posters. They laid on the bed. You know, friends used to do that. They just flop down and lay on the bed. And they're like, so we want to talk to you because we read an article about King Diamond that he got his voice from the devil. And we'd like you to get rid of your... I said, I ain't fucking doing that. Of course, we parted ways. You know, we grew apart. Some branches and trees and stuff like that grew apart, but I still loved all the hair rock and stuff, but I liked that darker stuff. And they were saying, man, the dude got his voice from the devil, dude. And you're still going to listen to his records? I said, yes, I am. So tell me if that's a bullshit story or whatever. Dee played on the classic King Diamond albums, Fatal Portrait, Abigail, and Them. It's not him on Conspiracy. Until he left the band in 1988 to join Don Dokken, he returned a year later as a session player on King Diamond's Conspiracy. Guys, we got 3 bars. I feel like I'm navigating this. We got your comments over there, and they're pretty sizable. But I feel like we're doing pretty good here. Let's keep reading this because I got one more thing I wanted to check in on, and that's Steve Harris. He wants to defend Blaze Bayley's albums, Iron Maiden albums. But let's just see what they say here. Matt Thompson has been King Diamond's drummer since 2000. Okay, back in March 2023, Mikkey was asked by Canadians The Metal Voice if he is still in contact with King Diamond's singer and namesake, and if there has been any talk about them collaborating again, either in the studio or on the road. He responded, yeah, King and I talk once in a while. He came and saw us play when I was playing with the Scorpions in Dallas. Where he lives in Dallas. He could not come this last tour we did, unfortunately. They were busy, him and his wife. So he missed that show. But King is a big Scorpions fan. See, no one that gets their voice from the fucking devil, who has chatted with the devil and said, if you give me your soul, you can have a good voice. And he goes, okay. Nobody that has spoke to the damn devil and made a deal with him is a Scorpions fan. I'm sorry. Where he lives. He couldn't come to last year. Unfortunately, there was a busy for him, and his wife, the big King Diamond, he's a Scorps fan. And I talked to Andy LaRoe. He's a guitar player, King Diamond guitar player. And Hal Patino, former King Diamond bass player. Especially Andy. We live not far from each other, so we talk, and I saw what I've been seeing. What? And I say what I've been saying. If they ever have me behind the drum kit for something, I'm totally there for that. That'd be great fun for me. But I also, with that I said, what? But I also, with that said, know exactly where King's from. I don't even know what the hell this is. Okay, moving on. Moving on, let's get into something else. I'm done with it. When reading starts to hurt me, I stop. The Swedish-born drummer who also played with Motorhead from 1991 until the band's dissolution in December 2015 continued, we in the Motorhead went through kind of the same thing with some people that kept talking about a reunion with former members Motorhead, Fast Eddie Clark and Filthy Animal Taylor, and Motorhead leader Lemmy. Never, ever, ever will I play with these guys again. Is that what Lemmy said? Lemmy said it. Never, ever, ever, ever will I ever play with those guys again. How you won't? They all friends, and we talk, but I ain't playing with them. The best band I ever played with my entire life, and we're doing better than ever. That's what Lemmy was saying to Mikkey Dee, saying I ain't doing nothing with those guys no more. Didn't I see Filthy doing something with freaking Lemmy before he died again? Let's get into this last story, guys, and we're going to get into your comments. You've got some stuff to say. Steve Harris defends Blaze Bayley era of Iron Maiden. He helped keep the band alive from that period. And I will say this. They've got the albums on Spotify. You can go on there right now on all the streamings, if it's Spotify, whatever. But you can go and listen to those records. They're available. However, Judas Priest haven't released those Ripper the Rip Man. Another thing off topic that I want to complain about. They took down that fucking Nuclear Assault album. Survive. It's only been up a month and now it's gone. They took it down. I am livid. I don't even know who to contact. But I posted a little YouTube short going, it's up, it's up. I listened to it twice. And then someone commented and said that now they've taken it down. What is going on with that? Figure your shit out. In a new interview with Andrew McKay-Smith. That's a fun name. Hi. I mean, you can't wait to say your last name if you're McKay-Smith, are you? You just look at him like, oh my God, it's my turn to say, shake hands with this guy. Shit. Hi, I'm Andrew McKay-Smith. I mean, that's a wonderful name. Of Scars and Guitars podcast. He's probably a guitar player. Iron Maiden bass player Steve Harris was asked if he and his bandmates thought about turning down half a step or even a step during the Blaze Bayley years. Oh, that's interesting because Blaze Bayley sings down here. Right? Well, that's you know, Mr. McKay-Smith is going to get to it if you shut your damn mouth and just keep reading. That's what you're thinking. Turning down a half step or even a step during the Blaze Bayley era of the band to accommodate Bayley's baritone voice. That's the baritone. Which was in stark contrast to Bruce Dickinson's higher range. Steve responded,
not really. No. Maybe on some things in retrospect we could have done, but no. We didn't really think about it. It wasn't really till we got out and played live that we realized there was a couple of things. The weird thing is that Blaze was really confident. When we were rehearsing, and then a couple of times on a couple of songs, then we get out live and there was maybe an issue or two here and there. But in general, he handled it really well. But it is what it is. I suppose in retrospect you can do all the things of things. You can do all kinds of things. But Blaze, he helped keep the band alive from that period. So we owe him a lot.
You could pay for that surgery he had. If you wanted to, right? Didn't he have neck surgery or something like that? You could pay for that. Or I think they did, actually. Now that I think about it, I think they actually paid his medical bill. Get in the comments. This is all important stuff here. Bayley joined Iron Maiden in 1994 after the departure of Dickinson. He appeared on the two Maiden albums, 1995's The X Factor and 1998's Virtual XI, both of which sold considerably less than the band's prior release and were their lowest charting titles in their home country of the United Kingdom since 1981's Killers. In a 2018 interview with Fozzy, the Foz man, Chris Jericho of Talk Is Jericho podcast, Harris said about the X Factor,
I really liked that album. It's very personal to me. I remember saying it at the time that those albums that we did with Blaze. Oh, do you remember those albums that we did with Blaze? That people would, in the future, come to appreciate them a lot more and a lot on, and later on. And they are. They are starting to do that now, just as I predicted. They definitely are appreciating them a lot more now. They were bloody good albums. In my opinion.
Okay, IMO. And Steve has the right to have an opinion. He is the owner of Iron Maiden, yes?
It was just a point in time where, whatever we were going through at the time, I think it brought out some really good stuff. I really liked that album and that era as well. We were fighting, everyone was kind of fighting at the time because everybody thought metal was going down and all this.
It's because that Nirvana man came in, huh?
And it was, to a certain degree, but it makes you fight. Makes you change and fight hard. I like that. There's an element to it. A fire in it. That's very important. It's an important part of our career. Every career has highs and lows and ups and downs, whether Bruce is in the band or not. And it is what it is. You just ride the waves, really. At the moment, we're on the crest of a wave, which is fantastic. The surf is indeed up. You take it all day long, but you never know what's around that corner, really.
Could be a shark. In August 2019, Harry... Oh, I saw that. In August 2019, Harry spoke to Sirius XM's... Eddie Junk in the trunk. Get out of the trunk, nation. Eddie Junk, man. About Maiden, then set list, which includes... What is this like the set list? Is it going to be? Which included 2 of Blaze Bayley era songs. Wow. Asked why it was... What? Now, let me ask you this. Why was it important for the band to still play those songs even though Dickinson hadn't been back in the band for those years? Well, Steve Harris, he responded,
We're doing The Klansman, which is from Virtual XI album, and we're doing Sign of the Cross.
That probably rubs Blaze Bayley wrong because he's still playing the hell out of that stuff.
Which is from the X Factor. We've done 'em before, anyway, with Bruce. He really likes those songs, so he was really happy to do 'em. And I'm not gonna complain, because I'm happy with doing 'em songs. Because I'm happy with doing 'em songs. But I think it just mixes the setup a bit. I know that those albums are not as well known as the other albums. I indeed do know that. Especially over here in the United States. But they're really good songs, and I think, and live, I think they come into their own. So yeah, it makes for an interesting set.
You could have old Blaze Bayley come out and blister Sign of the Cross with you. That'd be a sweet thing to do. It is time for your novels. Your comments. 2 bars. We're sitting good right now. And again, I did that as a courtesy to you because this is a part of the podcast that I enjoy is the comments. So we want to carve out a bit of time for that because I feel like we get some good breakthroughs that happen here. But I've done such a good job in this episode. There's 2 bars there. I know it will be blinking by the end of it. Okay. And how crazy was that I think it was Johnny B said, battery's probably blinking. So you gonna say that down here again? Anyways, it's time for your comments. We get into it. I have a sip. Johnny the John Man B. Let's look at his stats here, guys. If you're paying attention at home, you do collect them stars, those hearts from me. And right now, Johnny B is sitting at 11 hearts received, my heavens. And he will get because of his contribution here, he'll get another heart today. Johnny the John Man B, another action-packed, fun-filled, sun-drenched, laughter-infused, extra crispy, and overly delightful episode of Shane Diablo's podcast, which is now co-hosted by his brand new and very friendly pillow. What a time to be alive. And I'm telling you, dude, that fucking thing is... My neck has not... You know when you stop messing with it? I'm to that point now where I've stopped messing with it. Yes, Shane, it was me commenting on your podcast over on Spotify. But I'm here to tell you that I was not the first. There are others. Really? Not sure what episodes, but that's how I found out we could even comment on Spotify. You have fans, sir. He's telling me I got fans. You have touched many people. That's true. Some people I've touched. I'm not some kind of Casanova. But I might need more than my hands to count. Let's just say that and leave it there. And he's going to leave it at that, so I'm going to do it too. Johnny B on Death Angel. How would you like to be the band member who had to go tell Blackie Lawless that you couldn't do the tour? I wonder if Blackie gets really snarky and belittles them. Blackie, your mediocre band never stood a chance on my superior Wasp tour anyway. I'll be getting a hold of Pete Townsend to reunite the Who to open for us. I hope you know. They're the caliber of band Wasp needs to open the show. Yes, you're right about that. Johnny B says Johnny B talking Johnny 5. I feel like he's walking into something he's going to later regret when it comes to Motley Crue. Nicky Six can't keep his mouth shut and is notorious for stirring the shit. When it comes to that band, I tapped out the day Theater of Pain was released. Really, I kept going. I was so excited too because Shout at the Devil was such a banger. Yes, and you're right. And it was a bummer. The songs on Theater Pain were stale and boring compared to Shout. Plus the picture of them that was inside looked like they raided my grandma's closet. Really? Nice blouses, guys. I feel bad for John 5 because at the same point it's going to get messy for him. The dude is super talented and can do much better than Moldy Crud. And even put the umlauts over the top. That's good. You got to put some effort into that, don't you? You can't just do that on your keyboard, right? And I'm being serious. I mean Motley Crue and umlauts over those. Oops. And what's the last name numbering system going? And what's with the last name numbering system going on with this band? Johnny 5, Nikki 6. Is Vince? I didn't even think about that. Is Vince changing his name to Vince Lucky 7 and Tommy 2s? Dude, I am so fucking Tommy 2s, man. Tommy 2's big nuts that I've got. They're not Slipknot, lastly. The poor Mick 11, formerly Mars, have to say about what would they have to say about all of this? That guy put out a semi-decent solo effort and none of the Crud boys can at least comment or show support to valued member who was in the band for 40 plus years, ? That just shows what kind of guys they really are. And that's true. Has anyone asked them, what do you think of the album? That signed a non-disclosure. Nikki 6 said, you guys signed this. I don't want a damn word mentioned about his record. Eddie Trunk, talking Eddie Trunk here, whom we love. We just having giggles and fun with it. We're not like half these people that just hate everybody, right? But he does have a list of people that don't like him, right? I'm glad you said what you said about old Edward. There's enough room on the interweb for everybody to share what they want and how they want. You report the metal hard rock and news better than him by a mile. I enjoy that metal show he did with Jameson and Florentine. But if those two hadn't been on it, there's no way I would have even considered watching it. Trunk is known for bragging about who he knows. Yeah, that's one of the things is he likes to drop names and stuff. And what he knows about who is more about the gossip rather than the music. Some could say I am too. They'd say, well, Shane, he'd rather do the story about somebody doing something goofy than some accolades that they got. Johnny B says he started a bunch of crap between the original members of Kiss before they accepted their place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and tried starting crap with Tool by reporting false information. He does stir the shit, yes. False information about them. What was that stuff? Tool, see? I'm already wanting to be like National Enquirer. I go, what's going on with this? What's he saying about Tool? I never understood why he would do that. A band that goes out of their way to stay out of the spotlight, so to speak, and he tries dragging them down. I lost all respect for him when he did that. I'm grateful there are real fans like you and the people who comment here that can filter the bullshit. That was quite the can you print all that on a gravestone? I'd like to have that whole thing put on there if I can. No, we already talked about my gravestone, right? It's going to be from the song Allentown by Billy Joel, where he says, you can't keep a good man down, but I'm not getting up today. Let's see. Johnny B says, well, see me remote viewing. Well, I see my remote viewing skills are in tune once again. Your battery is probably getting a little low. Unless you read my comment first, that is. This is starting to spook me. That's how I knew last time. The aliens are helping me along. More on that later. God, I knew it. Thank you for another awesome episode, Shane, and thank you, whoever, God, Satan, little green men, Jehovah, the black demon sitting on the corner of my room. You're out here in the ether entertaining us and bringing some laughter to break up the monotony of our days. You're the real deal. Until next time, ... My God. Edit. R.I.P. to Jack Russell of Great White. My first concert ever was Scorpions, Great White, and Aldo Nova. Great White played an amazing set and one I'll never forget. Prayers to him and his family. Yes, indeed. So if you don't know, we did a video about that. You can also look up the Shane Diablo tribute to, we watched that amazing performance of them doing Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You on MTV Unplugged. He's just got a great voice. There you go. He has collected that heart. Who's this? Guffus. I'm loving Guffus. No subscriber. What does that mean? Oh. He's got 2 hearts received. Good on you, buddy. 9 comments. You're getting one today. I still want an intro compilation. Well, clip that up and get to it. There you go. There's your heart. Sticky Doll coming in here. They got a podcast and all that. The Instagram, look them up. Facebook, everywhere. YouTube. Hashtag Fudge Tunnel. And great job on Adam Carolla imitation. Not. That's a tough one to do. Good day, sir. I say good day. Keep on jiving, Shane. Yeah, he's kind of deadpan. I know that. He's just like, oh, yeah. You know, just a deadpan. Mike Buchanan coming in, and look at that son of a bitch. I'm telling you what, he's got something to say. Look at that. How we doing? 1 bar, but it's full. This week, I am changing up the movies that are bad, but we love them anyways, to movies that are brilliant and are one of my top 10 movies of all time. Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954. Of all the Creature movies that have ever been made, none of them are anywhere near as fantastic as Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like I said, this movie ranks up there in the top 10 movies I've ever seen. And we're not going to talk about the remake that is coming because, while I'm sure it's going to be superior visually, it's just going to plain suck. A quick look at the most iconic monster produced by Universal Picture reveals the most of them spring from movies made in the 1930s. However, the 1950s saw one more memorable monster appear in the Universal movie. Like the 1930s monsters, the Frankenstein's monster, Dracula and the Mummy, etc., his appearance is instantly recognizable to anyone with an acquaintance with old horror and sci-fi. This is the Gill Man. From Jack Arnold's 1954 film Creature from the Black Lagoon, this peculiar creature was inspired by an amalgam of Jesus, you're putting the words in there. Amalgam of sources including Beauty and the Beast and some supposed mythology about a being that was half man and half fish and lived in the Amazon. While makeup artist Bud Westmore claimed credit for its conception, the design was largely the work of Disney animator Millicent Patrick. With its scaly skin, webbed hands, I love that, and feet, sharp claws, hairless body, and gills running down the side of its head, the Gill Man was an alarming sight for the 1950s viewer. Yeah. The design was by the standards of the day fairly decent, though it is fair to say that the underwater scenes gave the costume a grace and elegance. I 100% agree with that. A grace and elegance that is often lacking in the land scenes. It was those sub-aquatic scenes that inspired Steven Spielberg when he made Jaws. To build up the suspense, Arnold kept the creature off the screen for a full half hour. We see a hand, then an arm, and finally upper torso of the creature underwater. From this point onward, the creature will appear at frequent intervals, often It is a close-up of the hand that we see. The storyline is crude, but the image and ideas have their own haunting quality. As Jack Arnold said, it played on elemental fears about what lies beneath us in the water. I have that fear. But perhaps it also reveals the darker depths that lie beneath the surface of the human nature. Grab your favorite beverage, sit in your favorite chair, pop some popcorn, and press play. Next week, we get back to bad B movies, with Zombie Twist. Mike Buchanan says, no, say it ain't so about Mark and Death Angel. I'm really hoping that he's not going to be ousted from the band, but it's looking like that might be a possibility. Can't imagine Death Angel with a different singer. That is a hard one. Also, it's refreshing to hear that a band wasn't kicked off a Wasp tour because of Blackie. But myself, I would rather see Death Angel live than see Armored Saint again. Johnny B said, or Mike B, got them all up. Mike B, all right. Johnny B, Mike B, here we go. Blackie B, beep, bop, bop, bop. Having John 5 in Motley Crue is like the commercial that has Derek Jeter on the Little League team for the commercial. He's way above too talented for the band. Even at the height of their career, John would be way too talented for the band. But it will be interesting to hear what Crue come up with. I myself do not like Dogs of War. Mike says, hell yeah, nail bomb. Dude, I'm hoping that this reunion will turn into a second album. I was left wanting more after Point Blank was released. Fantastic album if you love thrash. Mike says, so Ozzy is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as part of Black Sabbath, but up until now, he is not in the Hall as a solo artist. And knowing the Hall, I'm not surprised it took them this long to get him inducted. That place is massively political when it comes to who's in or who's never going to get in. Metal bands have the hardest time getting inducted, so this year you'll see why I say metal bands or even rock bands have a hard time. We have Mary J. Blige, Cher, Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Kool and the Gang, Ozzy, and A Tribe Called Quest. Yeah. Mike says, having grown up with the Sex Pistols, being a fan of punk before I was a fan of metal, seeing anyone... So you took the crossover, baby. Seeing anyone other than Johnny Rotten singing for the band is just wrong. I mean, big time wrong. I watched, and sorry, Shane, about 5 seconds of that video before I fast-forwarded before you fast-forwarded your video. And landed on last week's comment. I will never watch anything that the Sex Pistols without Johnny singing. No offense to Frank, who himself is a fantastic frontman. Having been in 2 groups, thank you for this. One still active, Gallows, and Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. Both bands are well worth checking out if you love punk. And now it's time for the Jive Talkin Jokes of the Week. Still no red. And I think we got Miss Althea down here to round it out. So I'm feeling good about this. It's time for Jokes of the Week. I just finished reading a book called How to Avoid Getting Ripped Off. Best $100 I've ever spent. I used to play all kinds of sports, then I realized I can buy trophies. Now I am great at everything. Lance isn't a common name these days, but in the medieval times, people were named Lance a lot. That's pretty good. See, that's not a joke you tell the dude that did time in prison. He said, man, you a damn fool. I wouldn't imagine that if you could understand Morse code, a tap dancer would drive you crazy. Do it again. I would imagine that if you could understand Morse code, a tap dancer would drive you crazy. Have you heard of the ninja dinosaurs? They're called Universaurus. Oh. And finally, my wife asked if she could have a little peace and quiet while she cooked dinner. So I took the battery out of the smoke detector. Oh! There you go. Now, the key here is if I can get through half of Miss Althea and it starts blinking, I'll just start going faster. I'll just talk faster. Miss Althea coming in. The dumbstruck fool says pillows. Never underestimate the power of a fabulous pillow regardless of price or where you bought it from. As crazy as Mike Lindell turned out to be, I will say that my pillow is one of the best investments I've ever made. I didn't even think about the My Pillow. It's like I scroll, but, and it's just every other TikTok was this damn pillow. And everyone's going, oh, my neck feels great. Miss Althea on Death Angel. Well, damn, just when I said out loud to Dan the other day that I would be willing to patronize the Wasp tour just to see Death Angel out of sheer curiosity, not that I'm a huge Wasp fan. Not really sure what Mark was thinking, having a proverbial affair with Kerry King. In terms of touring, shouldn't Death Angel be his priority simply out of principle? I feel like the whole scenario is Jerry Springer show worthy. NDAs be damned. As far as Kerry's people are the cockroaches of the earth statement, I say cue up the Gazette song / video, Cockroach, and go to town. It's a catchy banger. To be clear, that was not a request, just a shameless plug. Okay. But maybe, maybe just because you said it's not, now it is. Miss Althea on John 5, a new crew music, blah, blah, blah. No disrespect to his personality, character, or ability to play, but when it comes to the topic at hand, can we pull in another chair so he can join Nikki and Tommy in the Stop Talking room? Miss Althea on Max Cavalera. Thanks to his choice with his children's names, I can get the song Rock Me Amadeus. I can't get the song Rock Me Amadeus out of my head, and now it's in mine. Thanks. Miss Althea on Aussie. Hello, Cleveland, again. The honor of being inducted into the Rock Hall twice is one thing, and I will admit that I do think it is deserved based on his undeniable career in rock and metal, but who would have ever thought that he would become a household name in America? That's just crazy, but that's how it goes. Miss Althea on Richie Kotzen. Clean cut Richie Kotzen, pissed off about his salad, in that picture from last episode. We like him shaggy. He almost looked like a Soundgarden singer, Chris Cornell, a little bit. They look like there could be offspring. Look at him cleaning up and looking like Eric Gronwall. And nothing to do with him and the story, but please do not be apologetic in the least about what time you get up in the morning to earn a living. I get up for work at 4:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, even though I don't have to be in my office until 8:30. I need my precious quiet time with my coffee, and I will never apologize for it. Yeah. I've thought about doing that, getting up earlier and maybe doing something. You see those people that get up, they get on the treadmill or something and then take a shower. And then they go to work all day. But they're usually going, bye, so I told you to sell that 5 days ago. Miss Althea on the Sex Pistols. Pretty Vacant was one of the first songs John Taylor of Duran Duran learned how to play on the guitar as well as bass. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that Japan are among the hundreds of bands who have covered Anarchy in the UK. Yeah, there's got to be a lot, right? at least in part. They performed it live as a monster jam with members of other bands at a couple of the Ecstasy Summits in the early 90s. He Day, I'm looking at that, okay, we're doing good on the battery. He Day would usually start off on lead vocal, but you couldn't understand a word he was saying because his pronunciation was so bad. Adorable and hilarious being that the original song with Johnny Rotten's strong British accent was bad enough. Oh yeah, he sang the hell out of that. And the Gazette song, SXDXR, and Anti-Pop are nods to the British punk movement. And we've done Anti-Pop, yes? Miss Althea on the Space Shuttle Challenger. Of course, that exploded in the sky in the 80s with a teacher on it. I, unfortunately, have no recollection whatsoever where I was or what I was doing when the news of the explosion broke. Carol Spinney, may he rest in peace. Oh, that's him. He was the puppeteer behind Big Bird. He was also Oscar the Grouch. Yes, Carol Spinney. And he put his hand up in there. I always was like, I was amazed by that, man. Big Bird and Snuffleupagus, and how he could waddle his ass out of scene and they wouldn't see him. Hey, Big Bird, you just missed Snuffleupagus. I'm like, how the fuck? Just look over. Just look over, Mario. Maria. Luis. Gordon. One of you. Bob. Look, Mr. Hooper. Look over there. God damn it. There he is. And remember that touching scene. Mr. Hooper when he passed away, and Big Bird, Carol Spinney doing, go watch that on YouTube and have yourself a cry. When Mr. Hooper dies and they're explaining to Maria's explaining to Big Bird. Go watch that and tell him, and you don't have a soul if you watch that and you don't get jitter chinned. I'm not going to say that. Maybe you do. It just doesn't hit you the same way it did me. I grew up with them. Maybe they're like, yeah, it's a bird, it's a guy, it's a puppet bird and an old man I don't know. So it doesn't matter. Anyways, let's keep going here. Miss Althea on Space Shuttle, Spinny. Kiss, solo albums. Topic expansion. A local rock station played all 4 albums in their entirety the night before they were officially released. Although I honestly do not exactly recall in which order. I want to say they played Gene's first, Peter's last. The Ace and Paul order was probably inconsequential. I recorded them all, even though I had my parents drive 12-year-old me to the store. You recorded them all on cassette tape. You was quick with them, changes, because that just turns off. You got to flip that tape. I had my parents drive 12-year-old me to the store as early as possible the next day to buy them all. And I swear I wore out the cassette replaying Ace's album 100 times before I even had the vinyl that Peter's in my hands. The vinyl in my hands. Of the 4, Gene's was actually my least favorite. Paul is still my most played after Ace. Then Peter. It is unfortunate that Peter's style and nods to his influences were lost on the majority of fans. Yeah, because he went right back like, hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my ragtime girl. And then Gene went too young as Twinkle Little Star. Paul rocked, man. And Aces did too. I also think the fans were majority of the fans. I also think the fans were taking it for granted, his album would be heavily rock based like the others. When it wasn't, there was a mass what the fuck is this moment. Yet he remained revered as the one and only Cat Man, and by some Kiss, and by some Kiss, one and only drummer. There is a cross-section of fans out there who never accepted Eric Carr. You gotta be shitting me. They're all members of the band. Eric was the Fox Man. Is that what he was? The Fox Man? Did I give you the heart? Let's check in on Miss Althea's hearts. I bet she got 1,000. If she got 1,000 on here, 514 hearts received. It's too bad I don't have some kind of I'm not talking stolen valor. I'm just saying some kind of, sash with buttons all over it that you could wear around. Yes, hello? How are you? They say, where did you get that beautiful sash with all them buttons on it? All them buttons of hearts. You say, well, I'm glad you asked. I got it from Shane's podcast. You see, if you comment on his podcast and you hang out on his channel and you comment and he sees your comments, he gives you hearts for those when he reads them and enjoys them. All right, let's get out of here, goddammit. I'm sorry. Sorry for the swears and the, I feel like I'm going to try to pull off that Heaven's on Fire take that I was going to try to do, but not this time around. We got to patterns.
Tonight in your car, watch out for the traffic. Oh my God, girl, coming on over. I got my iPod, it's all ready to go for Shane's show. I can't wait to see your girlfriend listen to the pod. Oh my God, she's 3 hours late, but that's okay. 'Cause we can listen to Shane Jive Talkin anytime that we want. I hope she's not dead.